So let's start with the today's topic, which is tooth eruption, which is a very important topic from dental histology. So by the definition, tooth eruption is the axial movement or occlusal movement of tooth from its developmental position to its functional position within jaw in the occlusal plane. So here we can see the tooth is in the development position, that is within the jaw, and it will going to erupt and come into functional position, that is in the oral cavity. So this is the simple definition of tooth eruption. So let's talk about the tooth movements in eruption. So the first movement is the pre-eruptive movements. So these movements are the movements which take place inside the jaw prior to the tooth eruption in tooth germ. So simply we can say these movements just take place inside the jaw, and after it, in the eruptive movements, the tooth move from its original position of tooth, that is within the jaw, to its functional position. So we can say simply in the oral cavity the tooth erupts. And lastly we have the post eruptive movements. So these are the movements which are required in maintaining tooth in its functional position. So these are just the movements which take place after the tooth is erupted in the oral cavity. Now let's talk about the pre-eruptive phase, which is the initial phase of tooth eruption. So the deciduous tooth bud, which is initially very small, as you can see in this diagram, which is very small, and it differentiate and the space between them increases. So you can see the space between both the tooth buds are very much. Now the spacing soon disappears as the tooth bud grows and the crowding occurs, as you can see, and especially in the canines and incisor regions. Now after the crowding is released, when jaw grows in size. As you can see in this diagram, the jaw is increasing in size and the tooth germ are separating from each other. So the separation is done by the drifting movements of tooth germ. As you can see in this diagram, the tooth buds are moving sideways from each other. So this is facilitated by the bony crypt, which is simply a cavity in the bone, and the bony remodeling occurs. As the bodily movements continue in the tooth germ moves in the mesial direction, which results in the bone resorption, and in the opposite side the bone deposition is forming, that is on the distal side. So as you can see in this diagram, our tooth germ is moving in the mesial side, which is resulting in the bone resorption, and on the opposite side, which is distal side, the bone deposition is occurring. So this was the case in the deciduous teeth. Now if we talk about the permanent tooth, then the eruption is same as of deciduous tooth germ, but let's talk about the permanent maxillary molars, which are placed in the distally directions in the initial phases of tooth eruption, but when the jaw growth is completed, the maxilla has fully grown, it comes into its place, that is the upright position in the oral cavity. And if we talk about the permanent mandibular molars, they are placed mesially. As you can see in this diagram, they are tilted mesially and they become in original position, that is their upright position in the oral cavity, when the situation becomes favorable, that is the jaw growth has completed. So we can simply say that pre-eruptive movements are movements which help in the positioning of the teeth during the jaw development. So now let's talk about the histology portion of pre-eruptive phase. So as you can see, here is our tooth bud, and if it moves in the mesial side, the bone resorption takes place, which is the function of the osteoclast. So the osteoclasts are the cells which result in the bone resorption, and on the opposite side, which is the distal side, the osteoblasts are present, which help in the bone deposition. So this is the simple histology of pre-eruptive phase. So now let's talk about the eruptive phase movements, which are of second type movements in the tooth eruptions. So let's start with the definition. So these are the movements which takes place from its position, that is within the jaw in the bone, to its functional position in the oral cavity. So as you can see in this diagram, this is the pre-eruptive phase, and the tooth bud is in the jaw, and the axial movement takes place, and the eruption takes place, and the teeth comes into the oral cavity, which is called the eruptive phase movements. So the principal movements involved in eruptive phase movements are the axial movements, but as the pre-eruptive phase is also occurring side by side, that means they are overlapping each other. So the size of jaw increases, and some other movement other than the axial movements are simple superimposed on the axial movements. So this is the movements taking place in the eruptive phase movements. Now let's talk about the very important movements which is exclusive in the eruptive phase movements are the pre-functional movements. So these are the movements of tooth when it attains its position in the oral cavity until it's attained its functional position. So we can say these are the movements which are taking place before the teeth starts functioning. So this is the diagram of pre-functional movement. Now let's talk about the histology of eruptive movements. So for the tooth eruption, the tooth need to break the bone tissue in which it is embedded. So as the both the deciduous and permanent tooth germs are found in the same bony crypts, the tooth which is first to come in the oral cavity is deciduous teeth. So as you can see in this diagram, both the deciduous teeth and the permanent tooth germ are found in the same bony crypt. So as you can see in the following diagram, the deciduous teeth has already erupted in the oral cavity. So but the permanent teeth is still in the bony crypt, as you can see in this diagram. So in the order to erupt in the oral cavity, permanent teeth has to pass the two structures, which is the bone and a new structure called gubernacular canal. So as you can see, this is our permanent tooth germ, and it has to pass two structures, which is gubernacular canal, which is this structure, and the bony crypt. The gubernacular canal is filled with a connective tissue, which is called gubernacular cord. So now for the eruption of permanent tooth in the oral cavity, the two main structures, which is the bone and the gubernacular canal, is to be removed. So permanent teeth exert pressure on the bone and the gubernacular canal, which result in the loss of blood supply of gubernacular cord, and the cells present in it dies, and the tooth can finally erupt in the oral cavities. So as you can see in this diagram, this is our tooth germ which exert pressure on the gubernacular canal, and the permanent tooth gets erupted in the oral cavity. So now if we see the changes taking place in the epithelium of tooth in the eruption phase, so we can say that both the reduced enamel epithelium and the outer enamel epithelium, which are present here and here, they have the cells which are proliferating rapidly and form the cord-like structure, and the cord-like structures it after some time it get degenerated, so the degeneration occurs here and the tooth germ can finally erupt in the oral cavity. So the degeneration of the tooth provides the space for the tooth eruption. So let's talk about the post-eruptive phase, which is the last phase of tooth eruption. So the two types of movements which are found in post-eruptive phase are the movements which help in the positioning of erupted tooth and the movements which help in maintaining occlusal and proximal wear and tear. So in the position of erupted tooth movements, the principal movements are the axial movements, and the time period for these types of movement when the jaw growth is completed. So it also involves the tooth and its socket. Now let's talk about the histology portion of these movements. So it involves the condylar growth according to the requirement of jaw. Now if we talk about the second type of movements in the post-eruptive phase, so in order to maintain the occlusal wear and proximal wear and tear, the movements which are principal are axial and the mesial movements, and the time period is lifelong. So they run throughout the life. Now the histology portion. The cementum and the periodontal ligament are deposited whenever there is any need of them.